Practical skill building versus pleasurable dopamine chasing. I was writing this morning and I've been kind of pondering on this throughout the past few weeks, honestly. I've been thinking about this. Practical skill building feels really important to me, and I'm realizing this. And I think because of how much time I've spent on the internet and been spent on social media and see in the social media space, I am really realizing how dependent I am upon it. It reminds me of that scene in The Matrix where Neo wakes up and he pops out of his egg in that whole battery egg operated robot world where the humans are plugged up and we're pulsing power into this bigger system, and they're harvesting off of our energy. It reminded me of that, where I was like, wow, we have so much creativity and there's so much we're all doing, right? Like, I'm recording this online right now and I know this is going online right now. And AKA, I'm still involved with the digital space, but I've been really working with, and I've been really trying to learn myself how I'm balancing that. How am I building skills that are practical? And what does practical skill building look like? And this comes down to how I am watching the political sphere and the international relationship we have with different countries. And I'm recognizing how actually unstable the system that we're living in is. And I don't mean that in like I'm not saying that from a fear-based place. I'm saying that from just an observation place. Recognizing that what's happening right now in history is this shift. We're shifting through this empirical structure. It's happened throughout history for eons of time, and it's about to happen again, and it's about to move through us again. And so recognizing that there's that old statement, good times make weak men make bad times make strong men make good times make, you know what I mean, that whole cycle. And we're in that cycle right now. I can feel that cycle, and I can feel how our culture and myself have been very complacent on how I'm trying to show up in the world, aka what is actually practical for humans to learn. What is actually practical for us to be involved in? Obviously, we have to be involved in things that are going to make us money and provide for us in the culture and the system that we're in. But also, how are we learning how to take care of the land, be connected to ourselves, be connected to the earth, be connected to our bodies, our emotional systems, and our minds? And I think that going back to the things that are never going to go anywhere, like gardening and farming and getting my hands in the dirt and trail building and emotional communication, community building, these kinds of things have become electricity, plumbing, construction, mechanics, car mechanics. Like, what are the practical things that need to be done, need to be developed, and what am I interested in too? It's not like I'm just like, okay, I've got to go do these practical things, let me go do the practical things that I'm not even interested in. Like, I really am interested in learning the permaculture world and landscaping and how to really tend to and work with the earth, right? I'm a water and air sign in a lot of my chart, and so like having a relationship to the earth feels really, really important for me because it feels really grounding to me. So this is just something that I'm really watching within myself, and I think a lot of us in the younger generation are watching more of. How am I building practical skills versus just chasing dopamine highs? And the dopamine highs are obviously everywhere. This whole culture is built off dopamine highs. All the different substances that we have access to that we can go numb out to, right? That's dopamine. Festivals are big dopamine rushes. Dating, pornography, like all of it, every single which way you look, just the ego and having Instagram and having big clout and having big energy and having like a bunch of people watch you online. And not to say that all of these things are bad, like there's good and bad parts of everything, right? But where is the intention coming from and how is that intention moving? And that's just something that I'm really distilling within myself, and I think we should distill more of within our culture, is just like, what is the motivation behind why we're doing things? What is the motivation behind why we're stepping into being more present online, or going out on dates, or going to festivals, or what is the intention behind that? What are we actually going for? And that's I think a deeper question that I'm really digging into within every aspect of my life is like, am I going into this from a practical sense of, do I have clarity on why I'm stepping into this certain thing? Do I even have clarity on why I'm having certain emotions? Maybe I'm having certain emotions or having certain reactions or having certain responses within my system that I don't actually even know if I have clarity on, right? And so distill that down. What is actually there? What is actually behind that? What's actually coming from that? Why do I forgot this is so close to the trail. Intruders. And I think with where we're heading, we're going to need to be really practical around how we're interacting with these parts of ourselves. AKA, what is the intention behind what I'm doing is going to translate to, am I being reactive to something that's coming at me because the algorithm is designed to make me react to this, so I buy this sorts of thing, and then I continue to be sucked into this whirlpool of the algorithm's desires for me versus my desires for my own life. So intentionality with how we're showing up and what we're showing up with, I think, is going to be increasingly become more and more relevant and resonant. We need to become very intentional about why we are saying yes to this or why we are saying no to this, why we're saying yes to that, why we're saying no to that. Right? Like, what is behind that? What is within that? And that brings me back to a place of like, well, I don't want to be chasing pleasurable dopamine highs. I want to be chasing integrated paced dopamine. Dopamine is dopamine. It's just like anything. It's a tool. I want to be chasing intentional dopamine and reworking my system to chase that intentional dopamine, right? So instead of scrolling on Instagram, I'm trying to be more intentional about creating on YouTube, right? Like, that's a slower burn, but it's an intentional dopamine release. And this is what good discipline is. This is what really intentional frameworks and structures are. This is what working out is. But I think that there's already this massive push from the younger generation to go into that more intentional and practical space of what we're doing. What skills are we building? What practical things are we learning? How do we work with our hands? How do we work with the physical things around us? How do we grow our own food? How do we utilize the natural environment, the natural technology that's already alive, and integrate that with the technology that's coming online with AI and the internet and all that sort of stuff? How do we merge the two? Because we can't have one without the other. We need both of them. AKA, the technological stuff is just our mind. It's just going to grow. It's a reflection and a manifestation of the human psyche, and it's just going to expand. But we can't forget that we have emotional bodies, we have physical bodies, we have the earth. All of those things need to be integrated and brought with it. And so I think my reorientation is coming from this place of like, we have to bring everything along with the mind's expansion. The mind is expanding and it doesn't look like it's going to stop. We have to bring these other minds, what is the word for it? These other awarenesses, these other ways of thinking, these other ways of operating, these other ways of knowing life and knowing ourselves. We have to bring those along with us so that we don't there's a specific, we don't fracture ourselves. We can't fracture ourselves. If we fracture ourselves from our emotional body or our physical body or the earth, that's going to lead to pain and way more suffering than we could ever even imagine. We can't be fractured from that. We're already feeling that. We're already feeling that fracture. We have to integrate that, and that's a huge piece of, I think, what's happening in history right now and what we're all moving through. And I think it starts with each one of us becoming a little bit more intentional about how we're utilizing our dopamine receptors and how we're utilizing dopamine in and of itself, how we're thinking about it, and how we're showing up with how we scroll online or how we go and intentionally receive paced rewards. I have to earn my dopamine. I have to earn my dopamine. I have to earn my pleasure. I have to go work for it. Take the time with it. It's not a self-referential judgment thing. It's a practical awareness of how I'm showing up for what I get to receive in life. What am I giving to receive? That felt a little rambly, but it was good.